Welcome to PECO Virtual School, Christian Religious Education. My name is Reverend Wafula Rovis, a teacher of CRE. Today we have a class with the senior ones. We look at problems Christians face when trying to keep their faith in God. Remember, we look at what is called worship in our earlier tutorials. We looked at ways of worship, how people worship God. We looked at spiritual benefits of worshiping God, corporate benefits of worshiping God. And in our last tutorial, we went ahead to look at more of worship. Now, there are problems Christians face when trying to keep faith in God. One is isolation from peers due to religious differences. Maybe you have your friends. You have a friend who is a Muslim, a friend who is of a different religion. And there are certain things you may not do when they are there because you feel it's not proper. So, isolation from peers due to religious differences. Lack of time for prayer due to tight schedule of work, school. When there is a lot of work, you don't have time to pray. Criticism from non-Christians and others who end up discouraging the loyal Christians. Bad examples from church leaders. Some church leaders defile, rape, exploit their followers. So all these are problems Christians may find in trying to keep their faith in God. When they see bad examples from their spiritual leaders, some backslide, some give up. Man's sinful nature, which leads people to steal, rape, and defile others. Influence of cults which carry out funny rituals and end up killing people. Now we have the restoration of the 10 Commandments by Chiwetere. This was in Western Uganda. He killed many people who were burnt as a result of prayer. They were praying, he locked them. It is believed that he locked them in a building. While they were praying, they were set on fire. Influence of science and technology, where some think they are independent of God. You don't need God because science and technology can solve your problems. All these are problems that Christians face while trying to keep their faith in God. There are certain things science does not believe. Lust for wealth, greed for wealth cause people to divert from God. This may necessitate somebody to kill, to murder because he wants to get rich. You've had people who have killed their wives, their relatives, their friends because they want wealth. Permissiveness in society, where people do what they do what they want to do, and sometimes this is against God. A permissive society where people, whatever they want, whether good or bad, they do it, is also a factor. Christian doctrines and dialogues which are hard to understand, like eat my body and drink my blood. This is a phrase from the Bible. It can create a lot of controversy and misunderstanding to a normal man. Discrimination according to sex, beauty, tribe, status, leading to nepotism, tribalism, and sectarianism. Language barrier, where due to mixture of cultures, some people fail to get the word of God preached to them. You go to a place and you don't seem to understand the language they speak. So language barrier could be a hindrance to some people, because they may not be able to get the word of God in case they have no interpreter or translator. Backsliding of converts, somebody who has been a Christian and then he draws back, that's what we call backsliding. There are many reasons why people backslide: because of problems, because they feel God has not answered their prayers. This is due to confusion brought about by different preachers. Some preachers preach wrong doctrine, as well as the socio-economic problems in the modern world, like poverty. All these are factors. Disunity that exists in many denominations, which sometimes preach against each other, making Christians develop hatred for one another. Opposition and persecution from governments and non-Christians. Sometimes the government makes policies that limit people's search for God, such as restrictions put on time for prayer, laws on noise pollution, especially in cities, and all that affect the would-be seekers of God. Poverty, whereby most of the people lack Bibles and other materials necessary to help them seek for the truth. Poor transport and communication, as well as remoteness of some areas, makes it difficult for the preachers to access different regions for evangelical purpose. Diseases like coronavirus, malaria, and other contagious diseases like Ebola, they limit Christian activities that aim at searching for God. Political instabilities and insecurity caused by wars and rebel activities, these limit people's ability and time to pray. People running up and down, they cannot pray, they can't preach or help the needy, they can't worship God because of political instability. We have conservativeness in the church. For example, some churches are still conservative when it comes to leadership in the church. For example, neglect of women, youth in church leadership, which limits Christian chances of exercising their spiritual gifts for proper searching for God. Now this should be in capital letters, God. Traditional or cultural beliefs tend to be hostile to Christian faith. For example, polygamy, witchcraft, and so many others. Negative foreign influence, for example, homosexuality, lesbianism, and so many others. Let's look at worship in African traditional society. How people worshipped God before the coming of Islam and Christianity in Africa. Before the coming of Christianity in Africa, people visited witch doctors, praying to their spirits. They consulted medicine men or herbalists They offered sacrifices to their gods or spirits. They participated in rituals like circumcision. This is normally among the Bagishu of eastern Uganda, and then also the Sabines, who have female genital mutilation, FGM. They circumcise women, built shrines as worshipping places, gave honor and respect to places they considered holy, sacred, rocks, trees, mountains, named their children after the gods, consulted mediation. Songs and dances were performed in a religious context. Some accepted to work as diviners or medicine men, traditional healers, and rain makers. Now, I believe all of us, or all of you, or each one of us has got a culture that he belongs to. Therefore, it is important that we understand the kind of culture that you come from. If you are Muganda, it is important you understand the Buganda culture. Depending on the culture that you come from. Now, let's look at the role of ancestors and medicine men. Ancestors were physically departed members of the family who are believed to have joined another world after death. Therefore, in African traditional society, the family was directly connected to the ancestral generation, and they played the following roles. Ancestors acted as mediators between gods and the living. Living, those who continue to live, and the gods. So ancestors were mediators. They acted as patrons to different people in society. They blessed people, including giving birth to the children, wealth, good health, etc. Acted as custodians of family traditions, norms, and values. Ancestors protected people from dangers. They helped in choosing partners for marriage because they were consulted and approved marriage. They helped in maintaining peace and harmony, hence stability. They promoted good behavior by blessing those who behaved well. They directed people during choice of leaders. They inspired acts of the living, such as heroism. Heroism is where somebody became a hero, maybe by doing something outstanding in the community. For example, killing a fierce animal, one was regarded as a hero. They acted as advisors, diviners, medicine men, and rainmakers. They interceded for the living, praying for them. Now we look at medicine men. Medicine men acted as healers. They were also custodians of the society's resources. They presided over religious ceremonies, were used to cast out demons from the people. They upheld traditions, norms, and culture of the society. They were consultants to problems and serious issues. They performed rituals, for example, cleansing rituals. They maintained law and order through punishing law breakers. They diagnosed diseases and presented the right drugs for healing. offered protection and traditional knowledge, protect society from danger, moral formation. They had a duty to keep the continuity of the generation through culture and medicine in society.